Physician and Hospital Outreach Coordinator for Angel Flight New England, a nonprofit organization that was founded in May of 1996. Angel Flight New England provides free flights for children and adults needing to access medical treatment for studying health needs. Having survived a serious neurological illness at the age of 17, she understands the importance of access to specialized medical care. Providing in-services or speaking on panels to help further Angel Flight New England mission has been a priority for Amy and Angel Flight New England. Next to her, we have Dr. Sharon Space. Dr. Space has been the medical director of the Hole in the Wall Game Camp since 2005. After her medical training, Dr. Space became the director of pediatric hematology at Boston Medical Center. While there, she served as the co-director of the New England Pediatric Sickle Cell Consortium and as medical advisor for several community-based sickle cell anemia organizations. She started at the Hole in the Wall Game Camp in 1989 as a summer counselor and maintained her involvement since. Prior to becoming full-time medical director, she served as a volunteer counselor, medical volunteer, camp doctor, and as medical director of Victory Junction in 2004, another camp in the family of the Hole in the Wall Game Camp. We're also going to hear from Quita Christison. Quita is Engagement and Outreach Coordinator Project Manager of Next Step, an organization devoted to providing support and programs to better lives of teens and young adults living with complex and life-threatening diseases. She is responsible for connecting us and young people and the providers to our programs. She has found a way to merge her true passions of theater and healthcare by engaging youth in expressive arts to help them take ownership of their narratives. She is all about having young people get into the conversations that matter to them. And then we have Julie McKinney. Julie is the parent of a child with a rare genetic disorder and is also a health literacy professional. She has been working in health literacy for over 20 years and has an extensive experience collecting and disseminating resources, training community-based professionals like adult educators, health educators and librarians, and writing information and curricula for adults with literacy challenges. She currently works with Exceptional Lives Incorporated to develop easy-to-read information guides for parents of kids with disabilities. Her own experience with her son, who has a developmental disability, gives her personal motivation for this work. Each one is going to share about their organization, and then we can open up for questions. So we do have Amy, I know you're going to go first.
Sure.
Dr. Steve.
Sure.
And Tina, and then Julie.
Thank you all for inviting Angel Flight to be here for the second year. I'm delighted to say that we've provided flights for some of the patients at the Hole in the Wall Game Camp. So it's been lovely seeing another wonderful, important organization here too. And learning about all the new ones too that I've learned about today. And meeting lots of wonderful people. So Julie, thank you for the beautiful introduction. As she mentioned, I'm representing Angel Flight Northeast. And we are the nonprofit organization based out of North Andover, Massachusetts. We have 1,000 volunteer pilots. We have an office staff of 8.5. One is part-time. And he's in his 80s, and he was a 747 TWA pilot after being a pilot in the Air Force. And he's full of wonderful stories, and he's in charge of all of our pilot recruitment. He does all the training sessions. He's 86, and everybody loves him. They really idolize him. We have JetBlue pilots. We have physicians. We have teachers, wonderful volunteer pilots. And when they sit down with Roger D'Entremont, it's like as if they've been friends for years. And then, of course, the stories start happening about flying and how they got involved with their love of aviation. So we were founded in 1996, as Julie mentioned. And in that time, we have provided over 77,000 flights. We have flown over 14 million miles, and we serve 26 states. And we're so proud of what we've been able to do for our patients and their families. Oftentimes, people will come to Angel Flight when it's their last hope. and they've exhausted all their resources, and they're going to clinical trials, and they have to fly. And a lot of times, as the doctor was also mentioning, you know, there's a lot of stress. You know, people are, you know, dealing with very scary diagnoses, a scary illness. They have a lot of, you know, care, round-the-clock care. And so when they come to us, their nerves are shot and they're scared. And we get that. And so, you know, our team is wonderful. They're so compassionate. Our pilots will have books and blankets and snacks on the plane and great conversation. 3 of our wonderful corporate sponsors are JetBlue, Cape Air, and Hasbro. And Hasbro has been a wonderful corporate sponsor where they produced our very own aviation Angel Flight Northeast Mr. Potato Head plush toy. So every single child, an adult if they want it, will get their very own custom Angel Flight Mr. Potato Head, compliments of Hasbro. We also have a big toy program. So we have thousands and thousands of wonderful toys for our children to have on every flight, toys and travel games. And so we understand the how scary the process is when someone isn't well. We understand how the person themselves that isn't feeling well, how hard it is to travel. Imagine you're not feeling well and you have the luxury of living near Boston, but now you're in Caribou, Maine, and you're a 10-hour drive to the nearest tertiary hospital where you need care. And that's where Angel Flight comes in. And fortunately, we've been able to get people, children and adults, to and from their medical treatment in the same day and home to their own beds. Even if they needed radiation or some long-term care, we will help people for as long as often as needed. There's never too many flights for us, and we cater to the individual. So if you need to fly at 8 o'clock in the morning on November 17th, we will fly you at 8 o'clock in the morning on November 17th, and we will fly you from the airport that makes the most convenience for you and your family. Another great program with Angel Flight is our compassion flights. There's a lovely lady right here that's attending this lovely conference who remembers me from last year and this lovely program that we have. So in addition to flying our patients, and we always encourage our patients to bring loved ones. You know, it can be a best friend, a sister, a mother, a boyfriend, a husband, whomever it is, we always encourage that. We have families that will travel with their children because they want to stay together, but we also have the Compassion Flight program I just mentioned, and that allows you, so if there's a child that's, or a grown-up, in a state or a city that's not conducive to driving, or if it's too expensive to be buying plane tickets, we can fly the Compassion Flight. We will fly the loved ones to each other. And that's another thing. We don't ask for any financial documents. So we are to help people that would find it financially challenging to pay for flights or train tickets or to be able to drive. And so, because we understand that middle America, it's expensive. Medical costs are expensive. Family members are having to leave a job, and now you might have a one-income family. You may have started out with a one-income family. And so because of all those challenges, it's an honor system. And so we try to help everybody. We understand how expensive having an illness can be and how challenging it can be. And we've done a lot for our country. We provided flights for 9/11. We're the only planes in the sky at that time. We did flights for the Red Cross and for Johnson & Johnson. And of course, Katrina, and every natural disaster we reach out, and our recent hurricanes as well. And the same goes for when Haiti had the horrific earthquake. So our humanitarian efforts reach far and wide, but here at home, we can reach 26 states with our partnership with JetBlue and Cape Air. And our Hasbro toys keep all our children very entertained. And I did leave some extra brochures and pens for anyone that didn't get any on the table right around the corner. And thank you again for inviting me today.
my friends who are Christina and Kathy are on our admissions team at the Hole in the Wall. They have a table. We have a table in the other room with information they're happy to share with you. And if it works on the next slide, there's a embedded video. I don't know if it's going to play or not, but let's. Okay. Well, if not, that's all right. I brought my computer, and if people want to see the video, I can show you afterwards. If we can just go to the next slide, I'll keep talking. So, have any of you guys, just a question, heard of the Hole in the Wall game?
Yes.
Thank
I
you.
only Paul Newman salad dressing and everything else Paul Newman.
So we are a camp that started in 1988. We were founded by Paul Newman, who wanted to make a difference in the lives of children. He always talked about how lucky he was and how some people just had bad luck, especially for kids, and he wanted to make a difference. Create a place where kids could go and raise a little hell, was what he said. And we've continued to do that for almost 30 years now. I started working there as a counselor in 1989, the second year, and consider myself one of the luckiest people in the world. When I went there, I said someday I want to be the medical director, and here I am. So I always tell people that camp is a place where dreams come true, not just for our kids and our families, but also for us as adults. So I'm just going to walk you through some of the programs that we have. Before I go any further, I want to make sure people know this is completely free of charge. There's no charge to any child or family to come to camp. Our fundraising team raises about $13 million every year to make all these programs possible. And through all of our programs, we serve about 20 to 25,000 children and families a year. So it's really incredible. Our summer camp is what a lot of people have heard of. In the summer, we run 8 weeks of programming, 7 weeks for kids who have a diagnosed illness, 1 week for siblings of the kids who have come to other sessions, because they need camp just as much. We have about 120 kids a session. We serve a variety of illnesses. We started out as a camp for kids with cancer and blood diseases. We spread on to kids who have HIV, and those numbers have decreased a lot, so we've had to find some new disease groups. About 10 years ago, we started serving kids with metabolic diseases. So when you had the list up of all those really rare diseases, I was like, we've seen kids with every one of those diseases at camp. And then 3 years ago, we started a connection with NORD and now have expanded here, and we started serving kids and families with rare diseases. And it's been, I'm getting chills talking about it, it's been one of the most incredible things that we've done. We have a family camp. It's the first weekend in June, right after Memorial Day. Well, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Summer camp first. We serve some kids with rare diseases in our summer camp. As I said, 8 sessions, 120 kids a session, all the typical camping stuff you would want. On the medical side, I'm a pediatric hematologist by training. We also get another 2 to 3 volunteer docs every session. We have 2 nursing directors. We hire 6 nursing staff for the summer. We get another 5 to 8 nurses. You can imagine a lot of medical people. Our camper to staff ratio is about 2 to 1, 2 campers per staff, which is amazing. We have some kids who need a one-on-one counselor. We can accommodate that. We have some kids who need special diets. We hire 2 dietary staff every summer to work with our kitchen to coordinate special diets, so we can do most special diets. And we have a really cool area we opened about 5 or 6 years ago called the Moose Lodge. It's an area in the back of the infirmary, and it's for some of our kids who need overnight nursing care. So, for example, some of our first kids we served were kids with glycogen storage diseases who have to have dietary intake every 4 hours because they can't store sugar and stuff, and so they couldn't be in the cabins because they had to get G-tube feeds every 4 hours. So they came, and they're out in the cabins with their units all day, and at bedtime, they come and sleep in the infirmary, we take care, or in the Moose Lodge, we take care of them, and as soon as they wake up in the morning, they jump back in with their cabin. It's been amazing, and we've been able to serve kids who never thought they would be able to come to camp. So you may be thinking of your child and think, Mom, I never thought my kid could go, but maybe. Can't promise, but we're open to talk about it and see. So the next slide, please. is our Hero's Journey program. This was developed, I'm looking to Christine, 10 years ago. When our program serves kids from 7 to 15, and they aged out, and the kids and their parents were like, well, what do we do next? So the Hero's Journey program is for these kids. We trick them, and we put them on a bus and drive them around the neighborhood and sneak them in the back of camp and tell them they're out in the woods. And they're actually 5 minutes down the hill from the infirmary, but they think they're out in the woods. They live in yurts, they do all their own cooking they build the fires, they do their own cooking. They learn wilderness first aid. And at the end of the week, there's a mock rescue. They get a call on the radio that a golf cart has flipped over and they need help. And they go out and they find some of our staff acting as people who have been injured. They have to provide all the care, and then the helicopter light flight comes and lands and they hand the patients over. And to see kids who have been patients or been taken care of all their lives becoming the ones who are the caretakers is absolutely incredible. So that's another amazing program. We have been able to adapt it. So for example, one of our very first campers with GSD, who stayed in the Moose Lodge, did the Hero's Journey program last year. And we made it work for her. We have a modified version of this for kids who have increased medical needs and it's really not safe for them to sleep down in the woods without electricity, called Strides. And so we invite specific kids, and it's a modified Hero's Journey type program, again, to help kids. When they come in the summer, we're kind of like, leave your disease at the door and come be a kid. But in Hero's Journey and Strides, we're like, you're going to have this forever, and you need to learn how to live with it. So let's figure that out and let us help you do it. So it's a different way to look at it. Really cool program. Next one, please. Our family weekends. This is my personal favorite, I have to say. The whole family comes for a weekend. We have one going on right now, I gotta get back to, but they go from 5 o'clock on Friday till about 1 o'clock on Sunday. The whole family comes and just experiences camp. So our families arrived at 5:30 last night, and by 7:30, every single person in the room was up dancing and singing and doing silly songs. You just come and you can feel the love, feel like part of a group. The women who were speaking before talked about how important it is to find the people you can talk to and the people who get it. And we now have some special just parent programming during family weekends, times where just the parents can get together and talk about whatever they want to talk about. Sometimes it's about their siblings, sometimes it's about school issues, sometimes it's like, how do you ever find time for yourselves? Like whatever it is, but it's amazing. And at the same time, the kids are having an awesome time. Every family gets a family pal who's one of our best counselors who hangs out with them for the weekend, helps them learn their way around and do everything. And it's a really cool break for the whole family. It's also a great way, say we get a call from somebody and we're not sure if their kids would be appropriate for the summer program, we'll say, come to a family weekend first, so we can meet you, you can meet us, and we can figure out together if this is gonna work. Our family weekends sometimes are specific. It's a cancer family weekend this weekend, but last weekend we had a rare disease family weekend and had a mix of all these different diagnoses. And so it just depends on the weekend. Our spring schedule is out. Our fall schedule for next year should be out within the next 2 weeks. It's on our website, and I think we have schedules on the table. But if you're interested, please give me a call or give one of us a call. We'd love to.
Yeah, so feeding therapy, okay? So there's my son now, he's had a G-tube since he was a year old. This was like, you know, a rare moment when he was eating. So that's another thing we have to do. We can change it. And so early intervention, occupational therapy, my son had occupational speech, vision therapy, a whole slew of things. And if we, you know, he got referred when he was 2.5 months old, which was pretty amazing to us because, you know, we know that the earlier kids get these services, the better they can catch up in their development and, you know, have the best possible outcomes. So for us, it was fortunate that our pediatrician connected us with early intervention so early on. But we find now in all the focus groups that I run that so many parents have kids with, pretty serious developmental disabilities. They don't know early intervention exists. They don't, and then once they do, it's really complicated. Who do I call? How do I apply? Does my child qualify? So it's a complex process, and people, especially people in rural areas, people with fewer resources, people with less education, people who don't speak English as their first language, it's really hard to access these critical services and to know about them and get through them. So that's one of the things we're working on now. So, what we want, this is Tyler, like a couple years ago, he's at a great school, a residential school. We were lucky again that we had the support from our city and the educational system, but we want people to have good outcomes and for the whole family by getting connected with the services they need. So that's what Exceptional Lives we're trying to do. So I'm really fortunate, having been through all these processes with my son and my family, to be able to be working for an organization now that tries to help connect families with this kind of stuff. So Exceptional Lives, it's all free. We're a not-for-profit organization, and it's an online platform for families, caregivers, and also professionals who work with families of kids with disabilities. This is the website, and I forgot my flyers, but I have cards, and I can get you more information about it. So this is what I'm going to tell you about just for a few minutes. I'll try to go quick because I know we're behind. So if we can go to the next one. Again, this is a video. If it may or may not work. If it doesn't work, that's okay. Yeah. Sometimes if you hover at the bottom, the thing will come up. That's okay. Yeah, that's all right. We will move on. So Exceptional Lives, like I said, it's a free online program. Our goal is to connect families of kids with disabilities, any kind of disability that requires that they get special services of some kind. And we're trying to be a one-stop shop that connects them to medical care, educational support, government benefits, and then social support. We've heard that a lot today. One of the things we hear in our focus groups is that people need to talk to other parents who have some similarities of needs and challenges. So we try to connect them to that, and also to connect them with the support centers in their area that can sit down with them face to face and talk about their needs. We're trying to just make things easier because we know how finding information, navigating processes is really complicated, and when people are stressed, emotional, overtired, which all parents in this situation are at many times, it's hard to take in information. So our main goal is to connect people with these services and walk them through the processes in an easy, friendly, non-stressful way. So that's why so my background is health literacy, so what I've done for many years before this is work on finding ways to get health information, complicated information, out to people in a way that they can understand. So, you all know this situation. If your child is diagnosed with something or has some kind of issue that you want to learn about, people tend to go to the internet, they Google things, and then you get a huge amount of results. How do you pick which one to try? How do you find one that you can trust? How do you sift through just the reams and reams of information? It's hard to do. And then when you get to a website, it looks something like this. And I've been to many websites like this, and I tend to say, okay, you know what, that's too much. I don't have the mental energy to read that fine print and figure out if that's what I'm looking for. So I tend to put that away and try again later. So we're trying to find something friendlier for parents to connect with. So what our platform has is, and again, it's all free. We have two main things. We have personalized how-to guides, and they walk families step by step through a process like connecting with early intervention, or setting up a good plan with special education, or getting the most out of your health insurance. We also have one for, what to do when your child is diagnosed with autism, or what to do when your child seems different but you don't really know what's going on. So we have titles throughout the life course. And we use a unique software that asks a few questions, and then it puts together the information that relates to your child's age, your child's needs, how much information you want at this time. So it sort of puts together the pieces that are relevant to you based on the answers to your questions. Again, so you have less to sift through. So we have this, it's all in plain language, it's written to be very easy to understand, little bits of information at a time, not too much. And then we also have a searchable resource directory. So you can put in your zip code and you can find, we have a whole list of different therapies you can find. You can find diagnostic services, developmental pediatricians, psychiatrists, and then for older kids, transition programs, vocational programs, social and recreational activities for kids with disabilities. So there's a whole set of things that you can find and connect with through the resource directory. And then, whatever piece you're using on our site, you can contact us by, online, you can email, call, text. There's a live chat on the site, so if you're on our site and you're looking for something that you're not finding, you can connect with one of us. And, during business hours, we'll get back to you right away. If it's in the middle of the night, which is our biggest traffic is between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. I don't know why that is. So we'll get back to you the next day in any case. Thanks. So these are the topics of our how-to guides. Again, different processes that people need when you have a child with a disability. And so I do a lot of the content here, writing and rewriting. We adjust them depending on if we get more feedback, if policies or laws change, we adjust them accordingly. And I've been through almost all of these processes with my son. He just turned 19, so we're going through transition now. He's had early intervention special education. We're applying for SSI. We just got guardianship finally, a year late, but went through the process, which is not easy. And so we try to make it as personalized as we can, and we try to acknowledge that, we know we're an online site, we know we're not face-to-face, but we try to be understanding, and we try to write things from the parent's point of view. Do tons of focus groups, so we make sure that we provide an explanation that really fits with where people are and what the sticking points are in these processes. So different ways we make it easy. So this is more what our site looks like as opposed to that big block of text. We try to have a lot of pictures, white space, little bits of information at a time. But if you need more, we have these buttons on here, so you can like if you read a little bit on the screen and then you can click on a button and it'll answer a question or provide a little bit more information. So we make it flexible. If you want more, you can click and get more information. If there's words that are unfamiliar, we know there are a lot of words you're going to have to learn, like this is accommodation. Like if you have a special education in the school system, we'll define everything, but after that it's underlined and it'll pop up with a definition just to remind you. So we're trying to support this for people who, for whom reading and literacy doesn't come easy, and for people who, are highly literate, but in the moment it has to be a little bit easier, okay? I forget things all the time because, I'm tired and stressed, right? So, and then we try to make it really actionable. So, the guides, standing in front of the screen. The guides, try to not just tell you sort of about a topic, but just what you do. Like here are the papers. We'll have the forms downloadable from the guide itself. If you're doing an IEP, here's the form, and we give the phone number. So we just try to make everything easy so you can actually take the action and apply for that service. So the resource directory, Like I said, you can put in your zip code and you find a whole bunch of different services that way. We keep it updated. We have a team at the office every 3 months. They go through and they check every resource and make sure that they still, provide the services that we say they do, and the contact information is up to date. So that's the directory. And yeah, we're almost done here. So we've been open in Massachusetts for a few years now. We keep adding new guides and new resources as they come up, and we've talked to a lot of parents throughout and have gotten good responses. So we want to put this out there. We want to get this out to as many parents as need it, and so just with you all work with families of kids with disorders, especially in the early years, there's a lot that they're going to have to think of beyond the medical diagnosis. And so we hope that you'll, keep exceptional lives in mind to refer to families. We can come out and do presentations for staff or for family groups. We can send flyers to your office. You can link to our site if you have a resources page. But we just, at this point, we want to make sure that we make this available to as many families as possible. I think there's just one more. Yeah, so this is my my email. I can hand out cards, or if you want to be on our mailing list, please give me your card today, or write down your email on a piece of paper, because we send out a newsletter every couple weeks. It also has some blogs written by parents that have interesting and useful information about certain small topics. So anyway, thank you very much for letting us do this.